Hello, this is John Paval with Access Arts Live, and a special edition to fill you in on some of the background of Opera Vision's live stream of Mozart's Mithridates, which is coming up in about 3 hours' time today, April 4th, 2025, a Friday evening in Europe. That'll be at 7 in the evening here in Europe, which is one in the afternoon on the East Coast and 10 in the morning on the West Coast. So late breakfast on the West Coast, late lunch on the East Coast, or right after dinner or before dinner, and you have a late dinner afterwards. Anyway, it's coming up today, and I wanted to be able to tell you all about it. So that is why I am here. And if you're watching, that's why you're here. So let's talk about this production of Mozart's Mithridates. This production is coming to you from Madrid's Teatro Real. For those of you who are not very familiar with opera, Teatro Real, or the Royal Theatre, is one of the top opera houses in Europe. It's staged by Klaus Guth. The conductor is Ivor Bolton. And in the cast, they have Juan Francisco Gattel, Sarah Blanche, Elsa Dreisig, and Franco Fagioli. And one of the things that I think I can add, which is in terms of value, is to tell you a bit more of the background, particularly about the cast of this production. But now, to start out with, first of all, it's no surprise that Ivor Bolton is the conductor for this. Ivor Bolton, he is the head guy. He is the chief conductor at Teatro Real, the general music director, and he's also the chief conductor of the Basel Symphony Orchestra, and there's a reason why that's important. And he's also the conductor laureate of the Mozarteum Orchestra Salzburg. So, he's an ideal person to have conducting Mozart at Teatro Real. The guy staging it, the director, Klaus Guth, I think one of his connections with Ivor Bolton is that they both have worked with, or they both are associated with with Basel, and so they may have worked together before. I haven't gone that heavily into doing research about them, so that I could tell you that. Now, Klaus Guth is mostly associated, more heavily associated with stagings of Wagner and Strauss, very Germanic stuff, and also with a lot of contemporary opera. And you can see from the photos that I've provided to you of this production that it looks like a somewhat contemporary staging of this opera. So, but I think this is a pair that has worked together before. Those of you who know more about opera than I do not pretend to be an expert in any of the fields we talk about. I'm just an enthusiast for live streaming of all the performing arts. Let's let me talk to you about each of these the primary members of the cast, starting with I can try to summarize for you the story. I can try to summarize for you from the story. It's a little complicated. There's King Mithridates is the main character in this, and while he's away at war, he leaves his empire in the care of his sons, Sifare and Farnace. And a rumor goes around that the king has died in the war, and so one of his sons, Farnace, comes out and declares that he's in love with the king's fiancée, Aspasia, or Aspasia, depending on whether you're doing an English or a Latinate pronunciation of that. So she turns to the other son, Sifare, for protection. Then Mithridates comes back he comes back because he isn't dead, and he brings with him a bride for Farnace, whose name is Ismen. But then when he hears about what Farnace has done, then he wants to kill his son. And that's the setup of the story. And if I tell you more, I'm telling you too much. So that's the basic story of Mozart's Mithridates. It's typically operatic. There's love, and then there's vengeance, and there's hatred, and et cetera, et cetera. So let's talk about, first of all, Juan Francisco Gatell, who is singing the role of Mithridates. He's originally from Argentina, where he first started his musical studies, and then he finished up in Madrid and Florence in Italy, really learning about opera. His career took off about 20 years ago when he started winning some prizes back in 2004, 5, and 6. His repertoire of choice, according to his biography, is Tamino in Die Zauberflöte, the magic flute, Don Ottavio in Don Giovanni, Ferrando in Così fan tutte, Ernesto in Don Pasquale, Cavaliere Belfiore in Viaggio a Reims, the voyage to Reims, and Fenton in Falstaff, etc. He's done a number of recordings together with festivals with the Salzburg Festival, with La Scala, with the Rossini Opera Festival, Chicago Symphony Orchestra, and he did a live recording of I Pagliacci with Teatro Carlo Felice. So that's who you have in the lead role. Then beside him in the role of Aspasia is Sarah Blanche. And her name is spelled Sarah Blanche, but all of her background is in Spain. So I'm giving her name the Spanish pronunciation. And by the way, we will in the description, in the description section of this, when we put out this as a separate recorded video to our friends on opera groups on Facebook, we will give you the links to the biographies of each of these four main singers, so you can follow up and find out more if you like. She got her degree in singing at the Liceu Conservatory, that's in Barcelona, and she made her debut in 2013 at the Rossini Opera Festival, playing the role of Folleville in the Voyage to Reims. And she tells us, she has performed more than 27 operatic roles in the 11 years since then. And she has worked at places like the Teatro Regio in Turin, Italy, at the Tchaikovsky Theater in Perm, Russia, the Salzburg Festival, the Donizetti Opera Festival in Bergamo, the Teatro des Champs-Élysées. Some of her favorite roles are Lucia in Lucia di Lammermoor, Fioria in Il Turco in Italia, the Turk in Italy, I like that one, Marie in La Fille du Régiment, and who else? And the Queen of the Night in the Magic Flute. So that's her. And in the photographs, I have the four of them in the photographs from left to right, if you're following along in this. Now, the third up, and I had to double check this 3 times to make sure I wasn't wrong, because the story is about the king and his 2 sons. And Elsa Dreisig is referred to as the second son, as Sifare. Welcome to 21st Century Opera, without other explanation of that. She's a French-Danish soprano. It's not surprising she's in a Mozart opera, because she talks about how Mozart is what inspired her to become an opera singer or a professional singer. She's got several albums out, and one of them is entirely devoted to Mozart. She enrolled in the Berlin State Opera's opera studio in 2015. Later on, they made her a member. She has at Paris National Opera, she's appeared as both Pamina in the Magic Flute and Zerlina in Don Giovanni. She sang the role of Fiordiligi in Così fan tutte at the Salzburg Festival. She's performed as Donna Alvira under Daniel Barenboim with the Berlin State Opera. That was a couple of years ago. And she's very, this is not surprising considering the role that she's playing. She makes statements in her biographies or interviews, whenever you find them, that she's a 21st century woman and no soprano playing a female character, even if it's Manon or Violetta. should ever be a victim. So, and so you have her in the role of Sifari. I double checked it 3 times. That's how this opera is being done. And then finally, we have in the role of Farnacci, the other son, Franco Fagioli. Franco Fagioli, he's a Baroque and early bel canto specialist. Especially does a lot of Handel singing and also Mozart. And he also specializes, his bio tells us, in roles originally written for castrati singers. He's played Nerone in Agrippina and Idamante in Idomeneo for the Royal Opera House at Covent Garden. He's played the title role in Cavalli's Eliogaballo. I don't know that opera, for the Paris National Opera. He's played Andronico in Tamerlano at La Scala. And he's played Piacere in Handel's Il Triunfo del Tempo e del Desingano for the that big opera festival in Aix-en-Provence every summer. And the lead role in Handel's Julius Caesar for the Teatro Colón, which is a very good theater with its own opera troupe in Buenos Aires. And he's also sung that at the Zurich Opera House. So that's the background that I'm able to give you on this splendid production by Opera Vision. It is free of charge on Opera Vision, and I absolutely love these guys at Opera Vision. They are pretty much live streaming. They're one of the top live streamers of opera free of charge online. The other one would be Opera Streaming, which is down in Italy, which is 5 or 6 regional opera houses. But this is Opera Vision is with top of the line houses like Teatro Real and other places like that, and it's free of charge. Whereas La Scala always costs you something. The Paris Opera play, that will cost you something. It's pay for play. Opera Vision is doing this free of charge. They have support from Creative Europe, which originally provided support to a predecessor organization of mine, which preceded Access Arts Live. So that's partly how they're able to do it. But I think it's terrific that they are doing it. It's always high quality. We will try to give you the link both to the YouTube and to their in-house live stream. But I recommend the YouTube because you have the chat box there. And these chat boxes on YouTube are they are lively. You run into people from all over the world. Some of them know each other. And if you start frequenting these live streams, I have this funny light coming in because it's a sunny day in Stockholm. If you start frequenting these live streams, you'll start getting to know these people. There, if I move back a little further, but I probably ruined the whole live stream with that light on my face. Look, I will be back at 6 o'clock today with what. If you're interested in opera, then you may not at all be interested in what I'll be back for at 6 o'clock today, which is when I'll do our weekend highlights live stream to tell you about, other than this opera, which is probably the live stream event of the weekend, what else there is going on this weekend that I recommend that you tune into, because there's a lot. We're up to 35 to 45 live streams per week at this point in time, which is an enormous amount of live streaming. You can be watching live performances online, morning, noon, and night, if that's what your fancy is, and most of it free of charge. Anyway, today, when we do our weekend highlights direct from Kansas, from the Electronic Music Midwest 3-day festival, I will have on Robert Voici, who is with Vox Nova, and Vox Nova is going to be live streaming that entire electronic music festival. And when we say electronic music, it does not mean that there are not classical musical instruments involved in it. So if I were you, I would tune into it. This is only the second time that Access Arts Live, we're doing a live interview online as one of our own live streams. So I'm excited about it. And if you don't know anything about electronic music and how it relates to classical music, this is a chance for you to find out about it live from the people that are setting up this weekend, and also get some tips from Robert Voici about what are the top pieces of the top parts of this festival that you might want to tune into and enjoy. So ciao for now. I'll be back in 1 hour and 45 minutes.